There was a boy and his blob. That's a frog. A boy and his frog. Oh, I see you let him get away. The frog seems intrigued by a radioactive box in the backyard. Don't act like you didn't see him mutate. So you do the only sensible thing and go after him. Because that's what people do, isn't it? What's this? A tank. And a suit that fits you perfect. Join Jason as he goes down the ribbit hole to face the unknown terrors of the Plutonium Boss and Blaster Master for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Team Rocket, blasting off. Gameplay. The game puts you in control of Sophia III, an agile tank that sports missiles and a cannon. And I guess I was also sporting a mean set of hydraulics, because my car was doing more jumping than House of Pain listening to Crisscross. Although this came out in 1988, I played this mostly in the early 90s. Now, platformers were a pretty common genre around that time, but Blaster Master did a few things to stand out from the pack. If you hit the elusive select button, you know, that button you only use when selecting 2 players, you hop out of the tank. When out of the car, you get different physics, separate health, and a different line of sight for your pea shooter. Don't hop out at the wrong time, like near the edge of a cliff, or you'll bounce and die like Pac-Man, like this. Or this. As big as that dynamic change is, here's the kicker. He's the original White Power Ranger. That's the only logical reason this suit's down here in the first place. Okay. He may not be Tommy after all. Here's the real kicker. When you leave your tank, you'll see these doors you can go into. Not by hitting up, as in every other game in existence, but by hitting down. Puzzle solved. The game switches to an overhead adventure with a big-headed chibi version of yourself. Now in these dungeons, you'll either be scavenging for power-ups for Sophia and your gun, or proceeding to the end-level boss, like this guy. I like the warning sirens that get you hyped up to see a gigantic boss. They were huge for this day and age. Here you have to beat the brain. He's trying to take over the world. Yes, Pinky. My best imitation. That's all I can do. After beating the boss, another gameplay twist occurs. You get an item that enhances Sophia III. See, my shots are more powerful now. This introduces us to a Metroid-like mechanic of finding and returning to parts of the level that weren't accessible before, and using your newfound ability to progress. This is no ordinary platformer. Your journey is just beginning. Graphics. Colors are varied, big and detailed sprites. From jungles, caverns, water, ice, and fire, no stage looks alike or quite plays like the other. Sunsoft did a really good job here. As good as the graphics are, the music is what really stands out and what brings fond memories about this game. It should definitely make it on the top 25 of NES soundtracks. All isn't perfect though. Let me take off my rose-colored nostalgic glasses. I may be a huge fan of the game, such a fan I even own a novel by Worlds of Power. A much better story. I'm not blind to the flaws the game has. Controls. Side-scrolling controls work just fine. Full control during jumps and on the ground. The overhead mode is where things get a little wonky. Because you only shoot from the right side and not the middle of your position, you find yourself not lining up with the enemies. You wind up missing shots more than you like. Slow down. Whenever multiple enemies are on the screen, let's say 3 or 4, it slows down dramatically. It wasn't really a hindrance to me. It just allowed me to dodge easier. Alright, not really so much dodge easier here. They're whipping my ass. I can usually dodge easier. Useless scavenger hunts. The ease of how fast you lose your weapon power-ups And seeing as how some of the caverns are harder than the path to the boss, it pretty much makes the extra areas useless. You'll never use these areas after you figure out the way to the boss. But on the other hand, if you were to get up to the boss with your powered up weapon, it'll make things a lot easier. As I said earlier, pushing down to go into doors. It may be a small gripe, but when first playing, it's just confusing. Okay, Blaster Master isn't a really long game. It can usually be beaten in an hour and a half or two, but there's no save or password feature. 3 continues and you're done. Nothing wrong with a hardcore old school game, but no one likes starting over from the beginning, especially with a huge difficulty spike. The bosses get extremely tough after you get to the crab boss. I wish a strafe button existed back then. And last but not least, the localized story is weak. Frog gets away, run after Frog. Story afterwards basically has nothing to do with Frog. Metafight, as the game was called in Japan, had a completely different story that made more sense. Well, as much sense as your average sci-fi story can anyway. It also starred different characters. Kane Gardner, Dr. Jennifer Cornett, and your tank Nora, on the planet Sophia III. It all makes more sense there. Though not perfect, it does more than enough right. I love Blaster Master and recommend you give it a try if you never have. On that note, I leave you with this. Frogs! That was awful! Till next time, this is Stikz on level 857.